Okay. Y'all hear that? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Water bottle. I'll hold it for you. Okay. Sissy won't take it. She's reading her story. Oh, Daddy, when you're done, shut the door. Sissy, can you shut the door? Okay. Hey.
Mommy, this is Spanish.
Oh, here's English. There. You want to read along?
Starting really outside.
Tucker, I love that you're outside.
I know. We had to get outside.
Yeah.
Well, we were all outside, but now they're both inside. It's just me and the puppy.
Oh,
It feels nice.
I haven't been out yet, but I was just looking through my window and I was like, oh, it's beautiful.
No, no.
I have to admit, it's been nice. I'm like, what sweats do I want to wear today? So, how's life going?
Going.
Owen.
Hey, full and water, where's your pretty background?
Well, it keeps like, because my shirt is the same color, like it keeps cutting my arm off. So
Okay. Hey.
okay.
I hear my son in there yelling, Daddy. Justin's in a meeting.
We'll have that audio bit to save for the rest of our lives because it's recorded.
Ignore me eating a snack. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
But if you see me chewing, just ignore it.
Can we get started?
Yeah, we can. Do you want me to share the PowerPoint or are you gonna share it?
You want to share?
I can
This
share.
will be the one that does the
Yeah, that's fine.
modeling.
Figure out. Okay. Y'all see it?
There we are.
Yay.
Okay.
Aw.
So we, Jessica and I are creating an online lesson, and basically things that you can do with the distant learning that will kind of help you mimic like a normal lesson plan. So the next slide is, here's kind of the steps that we were kind of thinking of. It's like you always have a hook and you always do something whole group lesson, whole group practice, and then they do like group or partner work, independent, and then closure. So how can we do this to the best of our ability with distant learning? And just FYI, some of these things we've been taking care of with the distant learning, like we've been doing the Google's sheets, or not Google Sheets, Google Forms. We've been talking about the different apps, like yesterday with Seesaw. So some of these things you're going to see that we've already kind of been introducing and doing. It's just that this is kind of like a list, but anything that you're not familiar with, Jessica is going to show examples of, and do so anytime in the chat, or if you just want to speak up, let us know. And at the end, Jessica we will model anything and show you examples or how we can do this to the best of our ability. So anyways, so some of the things that we thought you could do for a hook would be obviously maybe a video, which we've been doing a lot with. We have the YouTube, which we learned about the other day with Miss Cruz. Any kind of recording, vocabulary, brain pop, mystery Doug, etc. You can always hook with a question, Pear Deck, using the portal with Tumble Books or the digital library or NBC Learn. Learning 360. Jessica, did you want to add anything to the hook part?
Not, I don't think so. I mean, it's really just, it depends on what you're doing and what works best for you and what you're familiar with or what you want to try. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're teaching too, what's going to work best for you.
But
Why does it keep doing that? It keeps going back to slide 2 and I'm not clicking anything. Sorry. Okay, next one.
So something for the whole group lesson is obviously you can do a Google Slide, iPad phone screen recording. I know Mr. Hernandez was doing that the other day where you can record you teaching a lesson. Screencastify, I know that's something that's really well too. Play Post-it, Edpuzzle, and Nearpod, which we talked about yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the one that's obviously going to be, Jessica and I were talking, that's going to be the most challenging, is getting them to do group or partner work, collaborate. It can be done. It's just until the kids get familiar with it or until you get familiar with it, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. But the Google Doc and Slide, Google's probably the best for that. Nearpod also has that collaborate feature. I know maybe even with Flipgrid, the kids, it's not so much collaboration, but they can at least comment and leave feedback on that too. So that was something we were thinking of. I see a chat here. Oh, okay. Thanks, Ms. Kabola. Okay, and then for independent practice, we have the Google Form, Google Slide, Google Doc, the Epic, Kahoot, HMH, Flipgrid, Nearpod Student Pace. I was thinking just from learning yesterday more about Seesaw with Miss Martindale. Seesaw is another way to do independent practice too. So a way to show what they know or show what they've learned. And then Closure, Flipgrid's really good for reflection, Google Classroom or quiz. Nearpod's good with that too. I know it's not on there, but it's also good because they can show what they know. I mean, this is kind of what we were thinking of when we were thinking of doing a lesson, an online lesson. Obviously, you want it to be the most fluid and you want it to be, you have it all kind of together. And I know that was all kind of different apps and different technology resources, but I feel like overall, from what I've seen, y'all kind of have a handle on this. It's just kind of if you want to extend it or explore, do different things. But I see all this online lesson, at least with my grade level and the ones that I'm seeing, it kind of, you're already doing this really well. So it's just kind of adding more if you want, or trying different things if you feel more comfortable with that. But Jessica, did you want to add anything, or do you think maybe we should show?
Yeah, I was just going to show ways that they could collaborate with Google Slides, or ways you can create assignments with Google Slides. So we know Google Slides as being like our lesson. Oh, how to get that out of here? Oops. So like for my first week when we hadn't really gotten a lot of training on what to do, I made a video of my lesson and then the song that I sang in my lesson, and then it took them to the Google form. And so when I think of Google Slides, I normally think of just like the teacher creating it. And so I was going to show you a couple examples of ways the students could use it. So like I made this is my teacher copy. I made this during the school year. And what I would do is make your slide whatever you want them to have. And if you don't want the kids to be able to like move your stuff around, which usually happens because they're still not very good at using these programs, I go to File and save this as a JPEG. So these were questions from HMH for one of the stories that we were reading. And so I made this page for them to answer the questions while they read. I saved it as a JPEG, and then I made a new Google slide to be the student copy. And I always change the page size because I want it to be like a normal piece of paper. And then, like Aaron was showing us some stuff yesterday, but on Google Slides, if you change the background to an image, just drag it up there. So that sets it, and they can't move this stuff around. And then I just put text boxes here. And then I would assign it on Google Classroom, and then they could answer the questions and submit it back to me. So that's one way you can use Google Slides as an assessment. You do have to grade it, but it's the same as grading papers. And you can add a rubric into the Google assignment. Miss Cruz talked about that last week when she talked about her Google Classroom. Another thing you can do as far as like collaboration, for Dr. Seuss Week, I had my students work on this, and there we were talking about text features. And so they had to read each paragraph or each section and create a heading. And then they had to, which this was during class, so you might give them examples because I was able to have it on the board. But they can share it with a classmate and work on it together, just like we work on documents together. Or another one I have is, so they have to create a slide. This is all one document. They would find an empty slide and create something. And then when they're done, they would go and add notes to their friends, like, oh, I like the way you had a bright image added to your text. So they can all see that when they type it. So if they're all on the same document. What you have to do in Google Classroom, when you assign something from your drive, so like if I'm creating an assignment, and y'all just stop me if I'm going too fast. When you create an assignment, if you're adding a document from Google Drive, like if I'm adding this one, if I want them to be able to edit it on their own independently, they need to make their own copy. And if I want them to all work on the same one, it's students can edit. So if you put edit, then they're all going to be working on the same one. And if you click make a copy for each student, they're going to be able to work on that document fresh on their own independently. So like for this one, I would do make a copy for the visual one, because I want them all working on the same one. I would make it that they can edit. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. Those are just some things that I've done in my classroom that lets them work together on a document. It's really hard because they're not together actually at home. Some of mine have gone to a friend's house and they've messaged me that they're working together, but for most of our kids, especially right now with everything that's going on, they can't leave. So there's not a lot of ways we can let them collaborate, but that's just a couple options. Aside from the other apps that they've talked about this week, like Flipgrid and things like that. So when you're on Google Slides, you can, let me see if I can go to one. Let me just show you with mine and Tucker's slide. So you can, obviously, like if Tyler was on this, I can see what slide she's on and I can watch them live. And I've done that before too, where like students are working on something and I'll add a comment while they're working. How do I forget how to do that? Insert. There's a way to add a comment somewhere. Because I've added comments while students are working. Anyone know? I've done it before. I just wasn't prepared for that question. comment, insert comment. So like if a student was working on that slide, I could say, make sure you add an image to go with your text. And then it'll pop up on their screen. Another thing you can do if you're not working on it live with them is you can view version history, and it'll show you anytime someone has logged on. And like over here, I can see that she added this box. This green dot means that's Tyler's work, and she added that text box. And then if I go to like the purple one, okay. So then I've worked on a couple of these, like I moved this one a little bit. So you can see who has done what. So it's not all one student working. Does that answer your question, Jennifer? Now you want to make sure that you stay on the current version, because if you accidentally go back to one of these, it'll change all their work. But you can see what they did. Okay. Oh my gosh. Any other questions or ideas or any other apps you need to see that maybe we haven't gone over? No? Okay. Well,
I did have some questions about yesterday's when Erin was doing the Google Forms. Do
yeah.
you want me just to contact Erin, or do you want to try and?
Aaron's on, and we can work on Google Forms too, because that was one that we talked about. What's your question?
Okay, well, it was a couple. So yesterday, whenever Erin was showing us the Google form, how to create it and stuff, I saw a tab somewhere to make a QR code.
Yes.
But I was like, I don't really know how to find that again. Whenever I went to recreate it, I couldn't.
Yeah, I think on Erin, I think you might have like an add-on or something, because I don't have that either.
Yeah, if you go, oh yeah, you don't. That's weird.
So hang on, let me go back.
I never added it on. I don't know how it's there, but
Settings. Wait, I saw that yesterday, and I was thinking I need to figure out how to do that. So I think if you go to these three dots and you click add-ons, you should be able to find it. We're gonna do it together because
mine never works though. I can't ever get it to make a QR code. So
you just type QR code generator for forms, I would assume. Install. And it's just gonna, oh gosh, ask you a zillion questions. Yeah, a lot of stuff that even like Pear Deck, you have to add the add-on. It doesn't automatically come on your Google account, so you have to add it so that you can use it. So let's see. So now I have this QR generator. Oh. So then what? Did it download it? No.
we do it again.
Do it again.
Try it again. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I can't ever get mine to work.
And yours,
Oh, there it
yours
goes.
was just like there.
But I remember a while back, maybe a couple years ago, one of the tech people was helping me with it. So they must have put it on there.
Oh, okay. So,
But I can't ever get mine to work like that.
Jessica, what'd you go under to find it? The little finger.
The three dots, and then add-ons. It's the little puzzle piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just typed QR.
And then it's hid under what? The little, whatever the painter palette is, but what's next to that? I don't know what
Like
that
a
is.
puzzle piece that means add-ons. So anything you add on to your.
That's where stuff is. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, and then my other question was, like, how do you get to see after a kid does, like, submits the form? How do you get to see the results, and how do they get to see the results and stuff like that?
Okay, let me show you one of the ones that I have my students working on so you can see like the student responses. So one that they're doing this week. Oh, these are all so old. Oh, because they're not owned by me. That's why. Okay, so like last week, let's see. No one's done that one yet. I don't think anyone's done this one. Oh, 7. I have 7 responses. All right. So this is one I made for life cycles. So what you'll do you have to be logged in and it'll show you responses. So that's like a separate tab. And then you have options to look at. So this is like the whole, out of all the 7 kids, this was kind of the average. And then you can go to individual. And so see, like this is Miles Sifford. And then I can scroll through and see. That's one way. And so I can see, oh, she missed this one, which is understandable because I didn't talk a lot about this one in my lesson.
So I would go to my drive, log in, click into the thing I created, the form I created, and then I would see those options then.
Yeah, you'd see these options at the top. Another way you can get all of your responses together is clicking Create Spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll open up a spreadsheet for you. And so I can see, here's how they all did.
I feel like Erin showed this and I just didn't follow it.
That's okay. That's okay. It's also better, like once you've tried
Yeah.
and done it yourself and then coming back and seeing it again, that always.
And then how do the kids get to see their responses?
When they submit, it gives them an option to see. Let me just click some answers. I missed one. I'm just going to click. So when they click submit, they would click view score and they can see what they got right and what they didn't get right.
Okay.
Wow. So
Is that a setting you have to set up, the score?
So when you're
Before you-
creating it, you want it to be a quiz,
Okay.
and that will assign point values. And you have to make the questions required. Now, what Erin and I figured out yesterday, I think, Erin, you can pop in if you need to. She had an open response on hers yesterday, and it counted it wrong. So if you have like an open response question and you're giving it point values, it's going to count it wrong unless she had some that were a number answer, and it had to be that specific answer. And so you can create that as your answer key. But if it's like a sentence and you don't have a set answer for that, don't give it points or it's going to count it wrong no matter what. Let me show you on hers.
Yeah, like I did some that were like an open-ended, or they had a fill in the blank, and that's fine because they need a specific word. But I would let it be, if they put it with a capital letter, if they put it without, it's fine. So I had to give the computer options to count it right.
Yeah. So like for this one yesterday, it has to have a set answer. And then she had these that had to have one word, only one word would work. But then she had another one, like this prompt, they could write whatever they wanted. So she couldn't really give it a set answer. She couldn't say it has to be this correct answer because it matches it letter for letter. So you can't really do that with a writing prompt. So we had to make it worth 0 points or else it counted it wrong every time they tried to submit it.
So when I was trying to create one last night, I don't know how Erin got the checkbox thing, because I tried and I used a little tool on the side that says checkbox or whatever, and it wasn't like that.
Yeah, this one?
Yeah, I couldn't get it to do.
So you went here. So like, check things you are doing for break. Or not for break, while at home. So check boxes, and then you have to type your answer. Like option 1 would be reading, writing. Did it do that? It didn't do that at all?
I don't feel like it did, but I'm going to try it again.
Okay. You have to like add the responses for them to be, for it to have the checks. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So try that. Let me delete this.
Okay.
Save on her thing.
It's funny how many questions arise when you try stuff
When you
out.
try it. Well, that's why we have the SOS sessions too. So if you're still, you're trying
What?
something.
I didn't know we had SOS stations.
Yeah. On Thursday,
Love
we're
that.
having some SOS sessions. So anybody who's watching this, and if you're trying it and you get stuck, save those questions or just pop in on one of ours. I'm sure we're happy to help you too. But we have those sessions too available. Because once you try it, that's when you really do figure out what questions.
Maybe we should put something out like that. Say like, hey guys, try some of these things out so that you know what questions you have, and then they can come to those sessions later this
That's
week.
a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, anything else? I was going to show you one more thing. I thought of it while that was happening. So I know we've had some parents contact us about like, well, how is my child, like their 504 plan, how is this going to be met? And so I was going to show you one more thing because we were talking about add-ons. So let me find it. Hang on. Go back. So this was something I did for social studies. And there's an add-on that lets you record just your voice. So I went to add-ons, manage add-ons, I thought. Let's see. I did it. I know I did it. So if you just type like voice recorder, audio, how did I do it? Maybe because I'm at home. I don't know. I did it on my work computer.
Could you just, I mean, if worse came to worse, you could record yourself in GarageBand and drop it in.
Yeah,
like,
you could. There was one way I did it. I'm sorry. I thought about it. Anyway, so what I did was I recorded me reading this page, and then I trained the kids that needed it. Like, hey, if you click the play button while you're looking at this, it's going to read you this page. And then I did the same for the questions. So like it read each question and answer choice to them, and then they selected their answer. So it's really hard to meet those accommodations, but that's just one way you could, if possible. So just.
Erin, would you have to use GarageBand or could you use QuickTime?
I mean, QuickTime's going to be video too, so you'd have to kind of.
Well, you can do audio or video.
Well, then yeah, you could use that.
I think Screencastify too, now that I'm thinking about it, has
So any of those really.
Just audio.
record audio. Yeah.
Okay.
Logged in right now or something because it's not pulling up, but yeah, so that's another way you could accommodate for those that have oral admin, and that'll help them at home a lot too because they might not
Which
have
honestly, that is on there for everybody, right? But then only they can if they want to use it, they can.
Mhm. Yeah, or you can like, I mean, it's a pain, but if you're doing different assignments like in Google Classroom, you could assign just the kids you know who have oral admin, the one with the oral accommodations, and then have a separate document without it if you want to do all that work. I always told my kids, you know, there's not going to be anyone to read it to you on the star, so if you don't need it, don't use it. But some of them, especially with like social studies, because they don't have a lot of background knowledge on Texas history, it helps them to just hear it, you know. And that's part of our new teach with literacy is being able to hear and understand. Of course, STAR test doesn't do that, but.
Right. Quick question. When you said that they made a copy of, or like you had it to where it made a copy of your Google slide and then they worked on their own. Now, do they have to then go submit that to you, or does it automatically go into your drive, or how's
So,
it?
on Google Classroom, they would have, I can still see it. So like if I go to one, I think I go to grades. Mine and Brandt's are together. Look at these are all. Let me see if I can look at it. So they haven't submitted it. I want to say there's a way that you can look at it. Well, let me just show you how they submit it. So if they, let me go to Moss's. If they go to an assignment, they're just going to click, you know, just like we do, mark as done. And then that's going to tell you that's going to send it to you on that grade sheet I was just looking at, and you can see what they did. I don't think I have, you know what, Colton did one. Hang on, let me find him. He didn't click turn in because that was like really new, but so he answered, he did the vocabulary so I can see what he typed. Like he didn't use complete sentences.
So he had to submit that to you?
He didn't click submit. His mom had messaged me and told me that he was done. They didn't know how to click submit because this was the first week that we did stuff. But if I go to my grades up here, if I'm the teacher and I go to grades, his mom said, hey, we just did foundational skills. So I click these 3 dots and click view submission. And he never submitted it, but I
So
can,
how did you get his Google Slides?
because it's automatically saved with me because it
Okay.
created, it created.
When it makes a copy, it automatically saves it to you. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Does it go in some kind of folder somehow?
I
Or
think so. I think on Google Drive I have a zillion folders, so y'all forgive me. I think it automatically creates a classroom. Yeah. It automatically creates, so these are like all the Google Classrooms I've had in the past. And it'll save it in, what's my classroom? 2019, 2020. Oh, I had changed my classroom name. So it's in, my classroom used to be Full and Wider Pathways because it was just mine, but since coming home to work, I shared it with Julie, so I changed the name. But this is all saved in the drive. So like each student has one. And I can go in and look at it.
Okay.
So. Any other questions? Oh, no. All right.
Oh.
Sorry, just had to say hi to one of my students.
I only heard her voice, so she's working beside me. And she was like, looked up, was like, "Oh, Miss Miranda."
I miss you, Millie.
What do you say?
Thank you.
Millie!
I do. Say hi, Miss Chris.
Your whole fan club's here.
All right. Well, if no one else has questions, the next session is at 2 for Facebook page and Facebook Lives with Miss Cruz and Mr. Lawson.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.